G'day peeps, today's YouTube video is about power poles and how to do the crimping and the associated tools involved. Enjoy! Here are the tools we're going to use for today's power pole crimping demonstration. We have strippers, a standard retractable knife, side cutters, the actual crimping tool and a small flat blade screwdriver. This is what we're aiming to achieve, like a red and black power pole connector on either end of this cable. The connectors we're using are just the 15 amp ones. So there's what it will look like shortly. Our first job is to split the red and black apart with some side cutters. In this case we're using Plato 170s. Any side cutters will do the job though. So just for reference, I've put a ruler against it. It's about 4 centimetres. It doesn't really matter how much you do, 4 centimetres, 6 centimetres, whatever, but 4 is about all you need for a good cable and an ending without the wires flapping apart. We're using wire strippers. Again, we've got some quite expensive wire strippers here which are kind of sprung loaded and do everything in one hit, but you can just use you know, a knife blade, cut around and pull the insulation off, or you can use other kind of side cutting strippers which are much cheaper. Ideally you're going to strip about 8mm off, but between 8 and 11 will do. Using the automatic strippers, I only pull the insulation off slightly. The reason for this is you can grab the insulation and twist it. So you can twist the strands up without having to twist the strands up with your fingers loosely. So here's the ratchet crimpers, which are absolutely the best invention. You can see marked on the top of the jaws 15, 30 and 45. That's for the different size of power pole crimps that you can insert. Most of the time we'll be using 15. I don't spot much difference actually between the 15s and the 30s, except the solder bucket side. You know, it can take thicker, more amount of strands, thicker wire, and hence 30 amps, but otherwise they're no different. Prior to using these this new crimping tool, I used to just have the pin upright in a set of helping hands and solder, you know, fill the bucket with solder and insert the wire. That does work, but what it causes is a stress point or the solder joint onto the cable, because as the cable flexes it's rigid with the solder and it will flex and eventually wear out. I did get around that by actually soldering into the crimp, inserting the crimp into the red or black housing and then filling up the void with hot melt glue. But really this is just a much easier, much smoother way. So we're going to take this crimp and insert it into the jaws of slot number 15, and the pin part of the crimp is lowermost in this picture. So you'll understand what I mean as it inserts into the hole behind. How else can I describe it? If you were to hold the pin horizontally, the crimp horizontally, the pin is towards the bottom, and you slide it into 15 the same way up this picture shows. So there's one actually in that 15 slot. So to make things easier, if you actually click the ratchet up, click at a time, just to grip that crimp, it makes it much easier for you to insert the wire. So remember, the wire's already twisted, the strands are twisted up so they're going to go in easily. You partially insert like that. Just visually inspect that none of the strands are hanging over the side. If they are, remove it and spiral up the wires again and then reinsert. So you push it all the way home there, which if you've cut between 8mm and 11mm will happen. You'll get the insulation butt right up to the crimp, and then guess what, you're going to crimp it up tight, and then on the last click the crimps will release, and voila, there you have crimps actually on the end of the cable. You can pull the crimps just to test them at this stage if you want, but as you can see in that black crimp, that's cut at about 9mm and the strands are at the end there. If it's 11mm and they're just out the end, no bother, it's not going to cause any hassle. So say anywhere between 8 and 11 and you're good. This is the crimp housing that you're going to insert that crimp into, and if you notice towards the top part of the tunnel there, you can see light. So we're going to rotate the pin in our hand so that the blade is uppermost and it goes into that bit that you can see light at the top of the inside of that tunnel there. And this is what it looks like the same way up, just the view from the other end. Okay, and so same view. There we go. So there's the picture of, as I was saying, the blade part is at the top. Push it in, and if the cable is rigid enough, you can just push that down in one movement and you'll hear it click. If you're struggling and it's flapping about, then what I would normally do is use a small flat blade screwdriver like this onto the collar of the crimp and then push it down, and you will hear it click. So there's one complete. It's just held in this picture by the strippers just so that you can actually get a good camera shot of it. So there are all the tools that were used in this. So you've got the superb crimping tool at the top there. You've got the red and black Anderson power pole housings and the crimps themselves. The strippers there, the light blue strippers, Strip Master, they're actually quite expensive, more expensive than the crimping tool. And the Platos, the side cutters there, they've really come down in price, either that or their copies, because they used to be about $70 a pair. I hope you enjoyed the YouTube and it's been of some benefit to you. Remember to like and subscribe and all that kind of guff below. And if you consider supporting the channel, then click on one of the links below to purchase the products or anything else on Amazon. That'd be fantastic. Thanks.